Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for June 15th. So, another busy weekend. A lot of shifting going on. You know, we are in a time where energetically things are coming down so they can be rebuilt, things can be examined, established norms are being evaluated to see if they're actually still something that the vast majority of the country sort of agrees with, right? So that's kind of what you're dealing with right now. So it's stressful and it's anxiety producing, but it is also hopeful. Okay, so let's try to hang on to the hopeful and not get too stressed out about the anxiety aspect of it, because heaven knows it's there. No one's saying it's not there. So, I thought today I would take a look at, I have sort of mentioned before in previous videos that energetically it feels as if the summer is going to be a bit of a rough go for Trump. So I thought we would just take a look at that. So I want to look at the balance of June, July, August. So that's what we're going to do today. I'd like to just see what Spirit can tell us about that and what the cards want to talk about. All right, there we go. Come on down. I have a question. Okay. So, Trump, June, July, August, June, July, August, June, July, August. June, July, August. Oh, August, July, June. Okay, so, all right, so in June, you're going to see Trump really trying to push down on that I am strong, my generals, my military, my yak. As he sees that, so he's going to gain some strength from the rallies, okay? Because that's going to like pump up his ego. Now, I heard something very interesting, and I wish I could remember where I heard it. It was something I came across yesterday. And they were talking about the advertising that the Trump campaign is doing. And what they said was that they have set to spend a significant amount of money in the last very short while advertising in Washington. Well, now come on. Nobody in Washington is going to vote for this guy. So why are they advertising so heavily in a state that, they're not going to, not a state, DC, I guess, where it doesn't look like he has much of a stronghold. Apparently, the answer to that is to keep him calm. He wants to see his commercials playing on Fox. They're even on CNN and MSNBC. He wants to be able to see that his campaign is working hard. He wants that positive reinforcement and that positive energy. So literally, you have a campaign that is spending a boatload of money just trying to keep him calm. Okay? Now, the more the frailties of not only him, but the government, and in part, even the institutions. So, the Department of State, the Department of Justice, to a smaller degree, police stations, police services, mayors, governors, but we're focused on Trump. So the more stuff comes to light that does not reflect well for him, the more delusional he becomes. Now, the more delusional he becomes, the more and more he starts to understand, in whatever degree he can, that the world is watching him. The world thinks he's a terrible, terrible president. They think he's a disaster. He's sort of the laughing stock of the world, except for Russia. And I don't know what day is it today, and that'll tell us what's going on with him in China. So there's definitely, he's starting to actually really feel, register, understand that in fact, he's not sitting in as strong a place or as good a place as he wants. And of course, let's not forget that the World Cup also represents, you know, an ending, a completion, and that can, you know, move things forward into a new direction. So there's a lot of energy going around him. So what's basically happening for the rest of June, you're going to see them being the White House, being his campaign, trying to really prop him up, trying to really push the idea that he's strong, he's good, it's all right. They got to pump up that ego of his because it's been, you know, it's taken quite a bruising in the last little while. So that's you're going to see that sort of behavior going on. But I don't anticipate that ultimately it's really going to work all that well for him. Okay, so now this is really interesting. You've got the Three of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, and the Eight of Pentacles. So this is all about money. Is there going to be more information coming out about Trump and his money? Is there going to be more information coming out about the campaign and their money, the RNC, and what they're doing and what they're spending? Also, you have this quid pro quo card here. So again, you can look for some sort of Russian interference, and alternatively, you can also see more news coming out, more things that have been found out, more information that is uncovered. So there's that. And over here with the Eight of Pentacles, it really it's about work being done methodically and in an organized fashion that is really going to shake his security. You know what? This could actually become my card for the Lincoln Project. Commercial, 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 right? They just keep hammering at him, and he's not responding too well to that. He wants to go back to a time when he perceives, he was in a better place and he was loved. He's having a really hard time sort of understanding that he's really not liked, except by a small percentage. And again, that percentage is shrinking all the time. Let's take a look at July. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And my Fool card and the Magician card. I'm just going to put all of them out because this is a very small little pile, so I'm going to assume all of them are important. So you have the Two of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Emperor. Okay, so again, a slow-moving tower, right? That's exactly what is going on. It is what is going on in the United States, and it is what is going on for Donald Trump. So what this is indicating is that he is going to fall farther and farther behind the times, if you will. He's going to appear even more tone deaf, even more antagonistic, irrational. It's going to be a month where there's going to be a fair amount of turbulence and upheaval going on with him. And all the tricks in the world are not going to work. They're going to have a continually difficult time trying to find their message. And that's been a big part of course, what the problem is, right? Because they can't seem to find a narrative that works. And, so they do things like they did, I don't know, was it last week or the week before? I don't remember. I've lost track. There was a sort of a slight uptake in the unemployment rate. And he's out there all but flying balloons and popping champagne, screaming, we've recovered, it's over, I'm brilliant, I'm a genius. Well, yeah, guess what happened the next week, right? The market plunged, unemployment continued to grow. So that he can't find a message, because really the only message left for him is the economy, and the economy isn't going to behave in a way that is favorable to what Trump is trying to accomplish or spew. I guess, just depending on whatever, words you want to use. So you can see, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So you're going to see, it feels like they're kind of running on mud. Like, that's quite the interesting visual I was just given, but literally they're running on mud, right? I'm talking about the campaign, I'm talking about Trump, and to some degree I'm actually talking about the administration, the White House. It feels like they're all running on mud. They can't take a step without slipping or sliding. It just feels like July is going to be one of those months that are going to be really, really hard to get through. I'm not so sure if it's going to be so hard for the people of America, but it sure as heck is going to be difficult for the whole Trump cabal, if you will. So that's going to be interesting. Now you've got the Two of Swords, which again is talking about that messaging and not being able to get a handle on that message and sort of pulling it together in a way that, is cohesively working for him. He's got the Wheel of Fortune and he's got the Emperor. So, whenever Trump gets the Wheel of Fortune card, it is never like good fortune. So what you have here is almost like a karmic rendering. I'm not quite sure what it feels like. Karma is about to come up and slap him up the side of the head, if you will. So there's going to be some really interesting energy and activity going on through the month of July, but it definitely feels fraught. It just feels like there's going to be kind of a lot going on, and it's going to be not cohesive. It's going to be scattered. And the Emperor, of course, is sitting here talking about the fact that you're going to continue to see established people. Okay, so whether that's more generals, whether that is, titans of business, whether, I don't know, whoever these people, those higher, the people that Trump thinks trust him or believe in him, or just the people that he wants to like him. They're going to continue to speak out against him, and that's going to put him in sort of almost an even more precarious and frankly testy situation. And here comes August. Let's see what we can see. All right, so August, he's going to try really, really hard to stand his ground, okay? He is going to, there's going to be, I almost want to say, things that are going on that he thinks are going to be good for him. So, you know what? Maybe he's just going to be doing a lot of running off at the mouth because, whenever he feels that his message isn't being pushed out there or shoved down people's throats, however you see it, forcefully enough, then he becomes his own press secretary. He becomes, the smartest man in the room, et cetera, et cetera. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't have a very, very defensive Trump who is doing a lot of talking and it's not making a lot of sense. It's emotional. It's emotional ranting. It's emotional reacting. So I think that this is going to be a little bit, again, it's looking like it's gonna be a really tough summer for the guy. You have the Five of Cups here. Okay, so this is about disappointment. This is about sorrow. Maybe this just represents that he's finally starting to recognize that he really is, I want to almost say, like in a fight, for his life. Because, of course, that's how he perceives it, right? His life is going to end if he doesn't win re-election, because one, he's going to have lost to Joe Biden. Two, he no longer has the protection of the White House or the presidency to prevent him from, a lot of legal wranglings, a lot of information coming out. And it feels almost like a fair bit of humiliation. And so I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if there's going to be reporting or documentation that clearly indicates that he's really not anywhere near as strong as he wants the world to believe. Not sure. Oh, by the way, did you hear that so last week there was a poll that came out with CNN, and it showed Biden ahead of Trump by 14 points. Apparently, Donald Trump is going to try to sue CNN because he says that poll is fake news. Now, meanwhile, his campaign has basically hired pollsters who are absolute frauds to do polls so that he looks like he's ahead of Biden. Again, they're doing everything they can to keep him calm because no one can deal with him when he becomes irrational, right? It's not just like we have to listen or hear about the tweet storms and the rantings in the Rose Garden. They can't control him either. So it's like, oh my God, everything they're doing is like a pacifier. I just saw that Donald Trump baby, the big balloon that floats, and he literally has a pacifier. They're handing him a pacifier. He has one in his hand. He has one in his mouth. Okay, so August doesn't look particularly pleasant for the guy. A little bit more, I almost want to say volatility in terms of his behavior. He, by this point, has absolutely no ability whatsoever to see what he doesn't want to see, to face his truths or his realities. He is lying to himself. Okay, so sometimes you get the feeling that deep down he knows the truth, but he's just all about the show. And so he's just going to pretend it's all hunky-dory. But at some point, he really started to believe his lies. It was no longer about the show. It was no longer about the image. It became his reality, except his reality is built on stories he has told himself that are, more comfortable for him, I suppose. Okay. So again, August looks like you're going to get sort of a ramping up of that really forceful, in your face, aggressive kind of nonsense that comes out of him. And I do not think the fundraising over the course of the summer is going to be quite as robust as he would like, or the RNC or the re-election campaign would like the world to think or believe. Now, I don't know whether that information is actually going to become publicized, but it really does feel like there isn't the kind of money rolling in. And again, part of it is because the behavior, what he has done in over, the last 5 months has been one level of disgusting and appalling and incompetent to the level below it. And the level below that, it's like there is no bottom. And people are going to really start saying, you know what, this is ridiculous. We have a pandemic that, because he wants to open everything up, is exploding all around the country. We have an economy that is in shambles. And you know what? Maybe it wouldn't be in quite the state it's in if he hadn't spent so much time in the last year or 2 or 3 pumping up the economy, and and forcing the interest rates down, and whatever shenanigans were going on there. So he's going, his behavior, his conduct is really, really going to start coming into question. And the continual tone deafness about Black and brown people, and race relations, and his own attitudes and views about race, they are going to literally start to really impact him in ways that, as of right now, you can kind of get an inkling of. But I suspect by August, there's going to be some real significant realization or recognition that he's really not in good shape. I also would not be at all surprised to see if two things with this card: if there is not an apparent increase in whatever it is that he takes to either one, hype him up, or two, calm him down. So you're going to see a little bit of I'm being very, very careful with my words here, as you probably have figured out. You're just going to see an uptick of that behavior and what's connected to that behavior in terms of addictions, in terms of substances. And the other thing you're going to see with this Devil card is literally his behavior becoming so self-defeating. It's going to be another month where he spends a great deal of time shooting himself in the foot, because there is no balance. There is none. There is not a way for him to find any sort of traction. And so you've already had the Page of Pentacles, and now you have the Page of Cups. So again, you're talking about money, you're talking about emotions, and because they're both pages, you're talking about a more, in the Pentacle case, it's about not enough. It's about like smaller amounts. And here, the Page of Cups, you're going to see more sort of almost like juvenile or childlike behavior. So wowzers, that's going to be quite the summer, looks like. So I think because I have a couple minutes, I'm just going to do a really, really quick one on Trump supporters and what Trump supporters are thinking, how they're reacting, how they're responding to him, and sort of almost like what we can anticipate from them. Yeah. Okay, come on down. Tell me about Trump's hardcore base. Trump's hardcore base. Trump's hardcore base. So it looks like both Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham are kind of having a tough time with their re-election campaigns. So that's good to hear. Couldn't happen to nicer people. Well, okay. All right. The Trump base is the ones that are still stuck to him, okay? I'm not talking about the people who were agitated with Hillary and they didn't like anybody and so they just voted for him because, they were voting. I'm talking about the people who have really doubled down on him. So this is part of their problem. This is part of what he represents to them. It is that sense of, I don't like the government. I don't like what the government's doing. I don't like the way they're behaving. I don't like the way they aren't taking care of me and standing up for my white rights. They don't like the government. And so they see him as that figure who can destroy the government, bring it down. But honestly, if you ask them what they actually want to replace the torn down government with, they really don't have any cohesive answers, because frankly, all they do is mimic the nonsense that Trump has been spouting for 5 years. So, it's a solid, hardcore base of that 20 or 25, maybe 28, maybe even 32%. But that's all it is. They're not people who are getting the right information. They have a very, very narrow view. And of course, the more tense things have become, the more that white wing energy has really picked up, whether it is on the Hannity show, whether it is Rush Limbaugh, or whether it is, protests in the streets. So you can see a little bit more volatility, but it doesn't look like really bad yet. Okay, so this is sort of current. They very much see him as a partner. Now, I don't know why. I can't understand that. Why does some, person who is lower to middle class, has sort of a a blue collar job, works hard for their money, et cetera, et cetera. Why do they think that somebody like Trump would befriend them? Right? On some level, he really has no regard for these people. He thinks they're foolish. He thinks they're malleable. And that unfortunately appears to start creating a little bit of tension, just some tension there. So what you've got here is, again, the devil shows up, and you've got it sitting beside judgment. So what does that mean? Does it mean that more of his base is going to judge him harshly? Well, maybe a couple percent of them are, because frankly, as they don't have any economic security, and as people they know or even themselves are getting sick with COVID, which of course is just a flu, and it's going to disappear with the daffodils or tulips or whatever flower it was. So there's going to be some judgment passed on him, but the thing is they give him a lot of admiration almost, right? Because they don't hear the other side of the story. So they continue only to hear successful businessman, a titan of business, there's nothing he can't handle. And so they continue to see him sort of through like a glorified, a set of rose-colored glasses, if you will. They see him as their hope. Okay, he is what is going to save them from becoming marginalized and minimalized. You have to understand, and again, I'm not speaking for every single Trump supporter. I'm certainly not speaking for every single white person. However, they see that they are becoming marginalized because that is what they have done. That is what they have grown up with. That is what they're used to. They knew how crappy they were treating people who didn't look like them or think like them or believe like them. And they fear that he is the only thing protecting them from the others, the ones who aren't like them. And so they literally see him. Oh my God, is this the great white hope? I have to tell you, their energy is a little wonky. They don't care what's stolen. They don't care how many knives he has to shove in people's back. They don't care what he tears down. They just want to know that they're going to get theirs. They're going to get their money, their material stuff, whatever it is that they need, that's what they want. And they believe he is the guy to do it because, trust me, they do not want to be on the receiving end of what they handed out for the last decades. you know, centuries now. Here we have the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles. I would not be surprised. And again, not going to say that this is, we're going to find out about it right away or it's going to be really in the public. But I almost get the feeling that there are now more and more white Republican voting women who are making a choice, and they're no longer voting for him. They're looking at what has happened to the family unit. They're looking at, bread and butter kitchen table issues. They're looking at the unrest. They're looking at his treatment of women. They're looking at sort of the deterioration of the country. And they are also going to turn against him. So really what you're going to have left is those older white men who are scared that they're being minimalized, and they feel like they need to fight. So I'm not seeing at this point any significant amount of tension or fighting in the streets or that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's not going to be out there 100%, but it's not looking like right now that is sort of their focus or their priority. So we'll have to revisit this in a month or two and see how things are progressing with the Trump base. So here we have it. Thank you so very, very much for joining me here at Soulprint. I have gotten so many new subscribers lately. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Soulprint. I am delighted you are here. So thank you very much for that. The donations they humble me. I am so filled with gratitude. It is just such a lovely gesture, and so I'm very grateful and appreciative of that. If you're looking for a reading, in the box below is some information. I also want to just quickly mention that, for those of you who watch this channel regularly, and you find that, it's stressful out there and it's anxiety producing, etc., please consider hopping on over to Soulprint Insights, which is my other channel. That channel may give you some guidance, some helpful hints, some strategies for dealing with some of the turbulent times that everybody is experiencing. So if you're inclined, please check out Soulprint Insights. Until next time, take care, be well, and we'll see you soon. Bye.